Hello again. So, excuse me, something I want to talk about when you're going through transformation and trying to get yourself aligned with God's will. Um, I, I find myself still looking for um, peace, joy, and happiness. And what I'm learning is that God's definition of peace, joy, and happiness is not the world's definition of peace, joy, and happiness. So, for example, because I only knew how to process. Well, I really didn't know how to process trauma, so I buried it. So for me, peace became solitude. Um, it became quietness. Not necessarily in my spirit, but in my environment. So peace with God is calmness in your spirit even in the midst of chaos. And I have that now. And it's a great feeling to have because I'm far less irritated than I used to be. You know, like simple things used to irritate me. Like people talking to me was irritating, uh, which is another reason why I job hopped the way I did. Because I didn't want to talk and I didn't want anyone talking to me. But now I can listen to people talk to me. I can even listen to them vent and rant, and I'm okay because I have God's peace. But one thing about transformation is you can have all the joy, peace, and happiness in the world and still be healing. And you may still have this heaviness that you're feeling. And that's the point where I am. I have peace, joy, and happiness, but I'm still grieving the version of me that I'm losing, even though I was tired of that version of me. But that was the only version of me that I knew. And I'm realizing that I can heal from that and still grieve it at the same time. And a book my mentor mentioned to me, um, entitled The Body Keeps the Score. And I won't even begin to try to pronounce his last name, but I'll leave it in the caption if you're interested in it. But she recommended this book to me years ago, and I still haven't gotten around to reading it or listening to it. So that's something I'm going to start today because one thing about the journey of transformation is what you're trying to do is get your body, mind, and spirit all aligned with each other and aligned with God's will. And that's a process. So, because I've buried emotions for the past 30 years, that's a lot of grief. that That's a lot of emotions, a lot of grief, and a lot of trauma that my body has been holding on to. And since I've started this journey, I mean, I've cried just about every other day, and I'm so tired of it. Like it is exhausting, and it feels like it's never going to end. Um, but I know that isn't true. Just like the trauma ended, this grief process will end as well. It takes time, and I have to learn to be okay with that. I have to learn to be patient with myself and understand that um, it's a process. So while I have the peace and the joy and happiness that I've been longing for, I'm still being weighed down by this heaviness, this heavy grief that keeps coming up that I have to keep releasing and processing. And like it's just I was under the impression that healing would make me feel lighter, or like burdens have been lifted. And I mean, every time I cry, yeah, I do feel lighter, but it keeps coming in waves, and sometimes it's just overwhelming, and I don't want to do it. I don't. I've gotten to plenty of points where I just didn't want to cry anymore because I'm so sick of it. But I'm understanding that this is like a detox. I've been living in survival mode for so long. I've been living in fight or flight mode for so long. So now I'm at a point where my nervous system feels safe enough to actually process my emotions, without, feeling like I'm being a burden on someone, or someone has to fake comfort me because I'm crying. So it's peace is real, joy is real, happiness is real, and you can have all of that, but trauma is real too. And it does leave a nasty residue behind. But it's 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 the price you have to pay to be in alignment with God on every level. And that is like you can be in an alignment with Him and still process your grief and still feel that heaviness. But the beauty of walking with God and being aligned with God is that He'll happily carry those for you or sit with you in it. Like I still have to process the grief. But I think the important thing for you when you're going through this process is to get to a place where you feel safe enough to process your emotions without fear and without judgment and without feeling like you're going to be criticized or made to be weak or a nuisance or a burden because you're grieving something that you're losing, even if it's something you didn't want. But my past is, I mean, it's my past, is all I knew. So it's still a grieving process, but that's okay. It's not an invitation to go back. It can be tempting. Um, like for me, I numbed my emotions for so long, and because I'm so tired of the grief, because that is like the primary thing I'm experiencing, and I'm tired of it. So it can be tempting to want to go back to numbing my emotions. But when I think about who I was and where I was, and then I look at the progress that I've made, I would never do that to myself. So um, as long as I stay with God, I can keep pressing forward. Um, and I know nothing I do with Him is in vain, and nothing I do with Him will lead to disappointment.